Hi everyone, I'm Jane and welcome to a very special edition of My Turn. Today's lesson is going to be all about, what's this? It's the brain. Wow, how does my turn and the brain fit together? Oh, you're going to find out. You know how we've been learning about the emotional roads? Well, we're learning about some different roads now. Some roads that are in your brain. Look at all those pathways there, going everywhere. And they're called neural pathways. And Suze is going to introduce you to those later. But first of all, I'm going to deal with another part of your very clever brain. Last lesson we learned all about being in control and being out of control, and what out of control looked like. Remember yesterday we talked about 3 different ways of knowing that you or someone else is out of control. The first one is if you're hurting yourself. The second one is if you're hurting someone else. And the third one is if you're hurting something else. Now sometimes when you're really out of control, either like this or very out of control inside, it's really hard to use words. And so what I created were some hand gestures that you can use that are so easy to let everyone else around you know exactly how you're feeling, whether or not you're in control or out of control. The first thing I want you to do is put your hand like that. And what you're doing is you're just bending your thumb and just putting it against the palm of your hand. Okay, what the thumb represents is your amygdala. Can you all say that for me? Amygdala. Well done. Now the amygdala is just here in this part of your brain. So you can't touch it, it's right in the middle. But it's a very important part of your brain. What does it do? Well, let me show you. Now let's just pretend you were out playing a game and you were so excited and it was wonderful, and all of a sudden a lion came out of the bush and it roared and it started running after you. What are you going to do? Are you going to just stand there and start thinking and say, oh, I wonder if I should run now? Do you think I should run away? If you stood there and thought for a while, what do you think might happen? Yeah, you might get eaten. So what the amygdala does, it tells you to run straight away without thinking. Just run. So that's your reacting brain. It just tells you to react. The same thing would happen if you're in the middle of the road and a car is coming straight for you really fast. Are you going to stand there and think, oh, I wonder what I should do now? Should I go that way or that way? No, you're going to react like this little one and just run to either side of the road because you're trying to save yourself. And that's how the amygdala works really well, for you to just react. So far you've got your hand like this, and that's the amygdala. Now I want you to bring your fingers over your thumb. Now can you feel how strong that is? Okay, this part of your fist, like your fingernails, represents your prefrontal cortex. Can you say that for me? Prefrontal cortex. Yeah, and that is at the front part of your brain. Now your prefrontal cortex is your thinking and creative part of your brain. That's where you find solutions and get ideas. When you're like this, where's the prefrontal cortex? Whoa, it's run away, hasn't it? It's gone up there. So all you're doing is reacting. And this is what happens when you get out of control on either road. Your thinking brain runs away and all you're doing is reacting. Now, if someone asks you when you're like this, why are you doing that? And you say, well, I don't know. And you get really cross. Often you don't know. Why? Because your thinking brain's run away. You need to wait till you calm down and get in touch with your prefrontal cortex again. So you can see how strong that is. See, you've got your reacting amygdala and you've got your thinking prefrontal cortex all working together. But how do you get that? How do you get from there to there? Is there anyone who can think of what it is that gets you from there to there? Let me show you how it works. So here's the brain. And see, you can see here, there's the amygdala. Just here. Here is the prefrontal cortex. So that's the front of your brain. Somehow we need a bridge to get from here across to here. Now I happen to have a bridge. So we want to get that bridge there, but how are we going to do that? Can anyone guess the character that would help you get from there to there? What do we use when we're out of control? What do we grab? We grab a pet. What pet does very cleverly is creates a bridge from your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex. There's pet helping you all the time. That's what pet does in your brain. How clever is that? So when you suddenly do that, that is when you're reacting here in the amygdala. And then what you do to calm yourself down is you quickly grab a pet, and then that calms you down to get you into your prefrontal cortex. You need to know when you get like this what you're going to do, whether you're at home, at a friend's place, at school, in the classroom, out in the playground. Because then you can just grab your pet and get back in touch. And when you're like this, you are a very powerful and strong person. Speaking of pets, what's it time for? It's time for Pet of the Day. And today we have something that Lucas has made out of Lego. Wow, how clever was that? Well done, Lucas. And hopefully that's inspired some of you to go and get your Lego out of that box and really build something exciting. Build a whole new environment.
It's time to have some fun with It's My Turn, It's Your Turn to guess which road we're on. We've got 2 guests today and your job is to guess which road they're on. If you think they're on a green road with repo, give them a thumbs up. If you think they're on a red road with busker, make a fist like busker. Okay, who are our guests today?
Now here's Henry, he's riding his bike. Oh, do you think that's a smooth road or a rough road? Thumbs up or a fist? What do you think? Now we've got Vinny, his skateboard is broken. Do you think he's on a smooth or a rough road? Thumbs up or a fist?
Thanks for playing. It's my turn, it's your turn to guess which road we're on. If you'd like us to guess which road you're on, don't forget to send your entries through to Suze or Jane now.
Who loves basketball? I know I do, and I think we need a bit of a pep break because you've been doing so much work with your brain and learning about all that neuroscience. Now, the Launceston Tornadoes basketball team have sent some wonderful videos demonstrating some basketball skills, some really cool ones and really challenging ones. So enjoy.
Hi, I'm Shanice from the Launceston Tornadoes and I'll be teaching you how to do a crossover. You want to cross the ball from one hand to the other and we want to keep it below knee height and nice and controlled. We want to keep our eyes up. So you can start by taking one dribble, crossing over to one hand and then taking another dribble, crossing over one hand and it'll look like this. If you get really good at that, you can just go continuous crossover. Remember to keep it below the knees.
Raina, and we're going to do some ball handling with 2 balls.
So we're going to start with 20 together. Alternate. And then we're going to 2 crossovers with each one. And in and out. And then we're going to cross over. Whoop. Try to keep your head up. And if you can, keep it with one. And now follow them back. In different directions or different times. Now we're going to go back, fold them back, but when we bring it to the front, we're going to cross it over. So cross, up. Now we're going to do juggling. And change direction. And now juggle drop. And if you can, change direction.
Thanks, girls. That was so good, and wow, your skills are excellent. When we learnt about our amygdala and our prefrontal cortex, that was only the beginning. Now we're going to go to Sue's and learn more.
Hi everyone, it's Suze here. What road are you on? Well, I'm on my sad red road today, and I actually need to say sorry to you again. Well, you see, today we're going to talk about neuroscience and how MYTERN helps us to grow our brain, because that's what neuroscience is about, right? And, well, the thing is that if I had have told you about neuroscience on the first day, well, you didn't even really know much about MYTERN and you hadn't started to learn the language, and it wouldn't have really made sense. But now that you've been playing games with me and learning with Jane and having so much fun with all of our guests, you've actually been growing your brain all this time. I'm really sorry I didn't tell you, but you know, growing your brain, it's really cool. And actually, do you know what? Helping others and giving is one of my pets. So if I could tell you a little bit about why MYTERN is a language based on neuroscience, if I could tell you what that means and how we can use MYTERN to actually grow our brains, well, I was wondering if you would then be on a smooth green road, and you know, I know that that would be a pet for me. So what about if we do that? What do you say? Really? Oh, great. Okay, thank you everyone. I'm so glad we've had that talk. Now we can spend some time together learning about the neuroscience of MYTERN. So today I've got a story for you, and it's about that big word that I said, neuroscience. The word neuroscience is about our brains. It's about the science of our brains, and it's about the fact that we actually have the power to grow our own brains. How cool is that? Now, before we get started, I do need to tell you this is just a lesson for kids, okay? Now, I'm not being mean, but not many parents actually know about neuroscience. They might not even know that we actually have the power to grow our own brains. Now, that's because when they were at school, scientists hadn't even discovered this yet. This is new science in the last 10 to 15 years. That's when scientists learned that we really can grow our own brains. So, we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to teach you, and then it's your job to teach your parents about it. What do you say? Great. Okay. So, my story is about my daughter Maya. And inside Maya's brain, just inside all of our brains, and actually you can see my picture of the brain up here, we've got these little things called neurons. Can you say the word neurons? Well done. Now, what our neurons do, they're little things in there, and if you can imagine when you're faced with a challenge, when you're faced with something new, our neurons are what start to make connections and pathways within our brain. They're what actually help us to grow our brain and make strong connections as we develop a new skill or we learn something new. So, my story is about Maya when she was a preschooler and she was learning to ride her bike without training wheels. Is that a challenge that you faced? Riding your bike without training wheels? It can be really tricky. And do you know what? On the sunny day when we went to the Swansea Oval to practice for Maya to ride her bike without training wheels, her dad was there and I was there and she was having a really good time. She was quite excited about getting on her bike. She jumped on and it felt a bit different without the training wheels, and so her dad held onto the back of her bike and she started to get used to, turning the pedals while her dad was holding her. She started to get used to, finding her balance without those training wheels there. Now, meanwhile, in her brain, her neurons were saying, "Whew, what's this, Maya? This is something new. This feels like a challenge. Maya's practicing something new. She's trying to pedal, getting used to the feel of her bike, balancing without training wheels." And what her neurons were doing at the same time as she was riding on the sunny oval, they were starting to make some little connections, some new connections as she was trying to learn a new skill. Now, after a little while, when she was feeling comfortable with her dad holding onto the back of her seat, it was time for him to let go. So she was riding along, feeling fantastic. He let go, and guess what happened? Pedal, pedal, flop. Well, Maya was so frustrated. She jumped up, gave her bike a kick and said, "That's so annoying. I can't even do it. I'm never doing this again." And off she stormed. Now, I forgot to say, if you know my daughter Maya, don't tell her that I'm telling you this story. Let's just keep it between you and I. But anyway, do you know what would happen in her brain if she never again practiced riding her bike without training wheels? Do you know what would happen to those neural pathways? They would fray away, and she would never have a strong connection. She would never be able to ride her bike without training wheels. But that's not the end of the story, because after a little while, Maya did find some courage to have another try. And we went back to the Swansea Oval on another sunny day. Her dad was there and he popped her on the bike and she had a little turn, practiced pedaling, practiced holding her balance with dad holding onto the back. And meanwhile, in her brain, her neurons were saying, "Oh, I remember this challenge. Maya's tried this before. We've already got some pathways from when she first had a turn. Let's keep building and strengthening those pathways because she's trying harder and harder. She's persisting and she's not giving up." So her neurons started to strengthen those pathways. And that meant that this time, when her dad let go, she had a couple of pedals and she was able to keep going all by herself. just for a few meters, and then she did pedal, pedal, flop. But this time, instead of kicking her bike and having a little tantrum, she got back on and she tried again. And so in her brain was busy growing, because this was such a complex new skill, that the pathways became really, really strong. And look what happens. If I got a tool, I might be able to break these, but really, over time, she has strengthened her pathways and they're becoming really, really strong. And over the years, Maya has continued to practice riding her bike without training wheels. She's 12 years old now and she doesn't even need to think about it because she practiced that skill so many times that she has such a strong pathway that probably if she had a break from riding her bike for a while, she could hop back on and she would remember how to do it easily. And that's because her neurons kept working hard every time she practiced that challenge, and they made a connection so strong it was like a highway in her brain. So now she just has to hop on that bike and she automatically remembers what to do. So that very first day when she was a preschooler and she faced a challenge, because she persisted, she didn't give up, she regained control, she was able to develop a new skill, and that allowed her to grow her brain. Thank you for learning about the science of the brain with me. Now, I hope you can remember some of those tricky words, that we've got neurons in our brain, that they make neural pathways and connections when we face a challenge and learn something new. But you're probably wondering, what's all this got to do with MYTERN? Well, remember when you first started playing games with me and joining in on our lessons, we introduced you to the language of MYTERN. Rough and smooth and pet and tep and I am choosing and all of those other things that you've been practicing. Well, here's the thing. If you persist and keep practicing the language of MYTERN, your neurons will make a pathway just like they did when Maya was learning to ride her bike. And what will happen is really soon, you won't have to even try. You'll just be using the language of MYTERN. It will become an automatic habit, an automatic response. When things are happening around you, you'll be able to use your MYTERN language without even trying. I am so proud of you for all of the work that you've done so far, but I want you to remember that it hasn't just been a wonderful thing you've been doing that I think's really, really cool. You have actually been growing your own brain. And how powerful is that?
I bet you didn't know that steering wheel was helping you to build really strong roads and pathways in your brain. So thanks for showing us that, Suze. That was fantastic. Yes, it's football time again. Yay! So grab your football and have some fun.
Move now on to marking. So in football, there are two main types of marks. Okay, there's the overhead mark, or the mark out in front, out front of your body, or the one that Milo's practicing there, which is the chest mark. Okay, both have certain parts that we need to be able to use. But we know that if the ball's in the air, it'd be great if we can mark it, because then we can get possession of the ball. Okay, now the first one, the overhead mark. There's a couple of key points. Point one is to do what, Milo? Keep your eyes on the ball. So watch the ball. Sounds like an obvious thing, but a lot of people forget about that. So we've got to keep our eyes on the ball all the time till it comes into our hands. The other thing is, as the ball comes in, we want to keep our hands behind the ball because it's going to help trap the ball and keep it in front. It also means if we don't mark it on the first time, we might mark it on the second time. Okay? Also, you can see that my hands are out the front of my body. So we want to try and take the ball at the furthest point away from our body. There would be great. There, but somewhere in that space, because then we might be able to handball off quickly as we start to get better at the skills. All right. So, Milo, let's practice that. So I'm going to throw the ball up. Milo's going to practice that overhead mark. So that's it. Good. Okay, that's it. Hands behind the ball. And we might, Charlie, you want to move that bin out of the back there, mate, please? Yep, okay. Then as he starts to get a bit more confidence, we can start to put the ball higher, or we can do it a bit faster. So we can vary the speed at which the ball is coming. Eyes on the ball, try and take it, if the ball's up in the air, also he's going to try and jump up and take the ball at the highest point. Okay, let's see if he can, there it is. That's it, good. There it is. Good. Okay. Okay, good. Now, that's the one we really want to try and mark when we can. The overhead mark, or out in front. Sometimes though, if the ball's coming quick and fast, or it might be a wet weather day, sometimes we might have to take a chest mark where we hug the ball into our chest because we want to get possession. So with the chest mark, same first rule. I've got to watch the ball. I want to watch the ball into my hands, and I get my body behind the ball to have that coverage. Let's see if we can get Milo to practice that one. That's it, good. Okay, good. That's it, and that one's a bit easier than the overhead one. So that's the overhead mark and the chest mark. If I'm at home by myself, the other thing I can do is I can practice just by flicking the ball up in the air and marking the ball, or taking a chest mark. So I can do this one at home by myself, right? Or if I want to really challenge myself, put the ball really high up in the air and still watch the ball, trying to practice the overhead and then the chest mark.
Hey guys, it's Jager here. Back in WA, just finished an hour of exercise, did some running and some skills here down at UWA Sports Park. So, and then I thought I'd take you guys, you junior members, through a bit of a tutorial with some handballing skills that you can practice at home. So obviously you've got to try and social distance as much as you can, but these are some skills that you might be able to do at home. So when I was taught as a kid in Auskick or under 10s or whatever, it was always the footy was a rocket ship. So pretend the footy's a rocket ship. Laces to faces, so you want the laces pointing up towards your face. Have a clenched fist, but always have your thumb pointing out. And then a little example of how to do it is just trying to hit that kind of area of the footy so you get the backward spin. This is a little example. And then catch your fist on the way through. I'll give you a few examples of some different types of handballs you can do as well. Other one's a handball from a ground ball. So ground ball situation, footy's on the ground. You got to pick it up, get your body low, head over the ball, and then keep your lots of power. So an underground hand pass, so you want to get the ball spinning forward. So it's like you've got someone coming towards you, an opponent coming towards you, and you need to get the ball underneath them. So it's handballing to a teammate on the ground, so like this. Then the last one is you've got an opponent coming towards you to tackle you, so they're trying to get your hips. You've got to get your arms over the top of them and handball out. So pretend there's a teammate to your left. You want to try and handball the ball over like this. So pretend you've got someone tackling you, just like that. You still want to try and get that backward spin as well so your teammate can catch it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you got something out of that, something to do to kill some time at home. Main things are to stay safe, stay inside as much as you can, make sure you wash your hands as much as you can, stay close to your family, stay connected. Try and stay connected to the Hawks website as well. We're trying to get as much stuff out as we can to keep you guys entertained, and all the best, guys. Stay safe.
Well, by the end of these lessons, we're going to have some pretty good footballers. So thanks, Brad, and also thanks to the Hawks. Just wonderful. Maybe we'll even see them tomorrow. The next video focuses on what happens if you're continually looking behind you at things you've done or things you wish you hadn't done. Like, for example, if Maya had fallen off her bike and had continually kept looking at that situation of falling off her bike and never going back and doing it, but complaining about, well, look, I fell off my bike, I'm not going to try again. She wouldn't have built those new roads, those new strong pathways in her brain, would she? Let's see what this has to say.
Everyone has experienced challenging situations in their lives to varying degrees. Even if people go through exactly the same experience, they often have totally different perspectives. So it's probably best not to judge and compare. It's very easy to focus on the things that have happened to us in the past. It doesn't have to be a huge event. In fact, it's often the small things that we dwell on that keep us looking in the rearview mirror. The regret that you feel about something that you said or didn't say, or the guilt that you feel towards something that you did or didn't do. That's human. We all feel that. Guilt and regret are not bad emotions. They're rough. We all have made rough choices. It's how we learn from those choices that define us and help us to grow. It's when you learn to take control on that rough road that your driving skills and resilience levels increase. But we can never really improve our driving skills if we keep concentrating on the rearview mirror. Yes, it's important to look back and reevaluate our actions or to see what's happening behind us. But if that is where our focus is, our main focus, then we're likely to crash. We also need to be able to focus on the road ahead. How can you improve your driving skills if you're always focused on where you've been rather than where you are and where you're going? Maybe that's why the rearview mirror is so small and the windscreen is so big. Which view are you concentrating on? Worth thinking about.
So you can see how important it is not to keep looking at the rearview mirror or looking at what's happened behind you, but concentrating on right now. You've got the steering wheel and that is the direction you're going. Look how big the windscreen is. It's huge because we're meant to look out there, not keep looking back. Yes, we're coming to the end of our special brain event. We've just learnt so much. We've learnt about the neuroscience behind MYTERN, the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, the neural pathways in our brain and the neurons. Wow. To be in control of your steering wheel and in control of how you build your brain is a superpower. Our pet of the day was Lucas with his wonderful Lego. That was fabulous. And the game, Which Road Am I On? Thank you, Vinny, whose skateboard had broken. And thank you to Henry, who was having a cool time on his bike. And we also were introduced to a couple of wonderful pets. So when we're out of control, we can engage that pet and get in touch with our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that helps us think and be creative. And also, thanks again to Brad and also the Hawks for being able to do something physical and play footy and improve our skills. And thank you to Aisha and Shelby from the Launceston Tornado basketball team. That was awesome. Susan and I have been very excited to present all this neuroscience to you. And now, after all that brain work, you get to do a dance. So enjoy listening to It's My Turn, and we look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Bye.
It's my turn. It's my steering wheel. It's my turn. It's my voice. Red roads are rough and green roads are smooth. No roads are judged, I get the freedom to choose. Red roads are rough and green roads are smooth. No roads are judged, I get the freedom to choose. It's my turn. It's my steering wheel. It's my turn. It's my voice. When I'm in control, that's when I'm in the flow. When I'm in control, I get to grow. Choosing a rough road, my driving improves. Choosing a smooth road, I feel groove. Choosing a rough road, my driving improves. Choosing a smooth road, I feel the groove. It's my turn, it's my season.